Hello everybody, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're going to play a brand new game, which is coming out tomorrow. Probably by the time you're watching this, it may have already come out, but it is called Aggressors, Ancient Rome. It is a game which puts you in the shoes of one of the Mediterranean powers during the ancient era, so starting around 280 BC, and gives you the option or the opportunity to try and build your own empire. I've played through the tutorial, but that's about it. So this is really going to be a first look, a first impressions game to see how easy this game is to pick up and play. I've heard sort of mixed opinions on this game so far. It does seem to have a little bit of a Civ vibe to it. So perhaps like a Civ within the Roman world, specifically type of a mentality. But really the intent of this stream and this video is to see how easy this game is to pick up and play. If you were to go and buy this game when it comes out, to see, essentially, is this a game that you can just grab and start playing, or what are the challenges that you'll face, as well as just how the game plays overall. So sometimes in these videos I get comments around the fact that, well, you should have learned to play the game a little bit better before you show it off. That's the entire point of this, right? The entire point is to say, what is your experience going to be if you just jump in and start playing? So with that being said, let's go ahead and jump in. We're going to go ahead and play a new game. This game does have a create your own scenario ability, which I have not checked out yet. It does also have additional content, so it builds modding into the actual main screen of the game, which is pretty cool. Hey, thanks for the sub, Charcoal. It builds modding into the actual main part of the game here, so you can see additional saves that you can load, new scenarios that users can create, or additional modifications. So that's pretty neat. And then it has a library, which gives you kind of like the game manual, if you will, or at least information about different parts of the game. So kind of a detailed manual within the library. But really the core of the game is within the new game section. You can create a customized world or an ancient Mediterranean world. We're going to go with the ancient Mediterranean world. And once we go in here, you can see there are a list of different countries that you can play as in this game. You can play as the Roman Republic, which is sort of, obviously, the game is named after Rome. Or you can play as Carthage. You can play as the Ptolemaic Empire, so the Egyptian successor state to Alexander the Great. You can play as Epirus, which is a Greek city-state which made some conquests into Sicily and southern Italy in the late 200s. Sparta's in there, Athens in there, Gaelic tribes, Antigogonad, I'm not really sure. It looks like it's some sort of Balkan country. And you can kind of play all over the medieval world. So there's several tribes in and around the Balkans. Macedonia is there, which doesn't look like it's where Macedonia historically is. It looks like it's near the Hellespont, which seems odd. The Seleucid Empire, again, one of the other successor states to Alexander the Great. Pontus is in here, which is in northern Turkey. Massilia, which is in southern France. And then a bunch of other... I wonder if they're allied to Rome, too, because you've got this icon down here. You can see Rome on the map when you click on Massilia. Iberian tribes, which are in Spain. The Osirian Kingdom, which is in sort of the northern Balkans. The Dacan tribes, the Celtic tribes, the German tribes. So a whole bunch of different options here, quite a few, actually. But we're going to play as Rome. We're going to play as the Roman Republic, and we're going to play with the... Do we want to play with the advanced tutorial on? I've played through the regular tutorial. There's an advanced tutorial that gives you like recommendations and options and whatnot as you play through the game. Let's leave that off. Let's just see how it is when you play just kind of by yourself without any assistance. I don't know why there's an AI player difficulty option here. But you can see here, playing as Rome, it's going to be one of the easier countries to play as. You can see you get a little bio of the country down here. The Roman Republic is a larger country with one of the largest populations. It's one of the most powerful countries with one of the most powerful economies. Government is republic, which represents a balanced resource usage. So different types of governments give you different resource perks or penalties. Slightly increases the production of gold, food, wood, and stones, and marginally decreases population growth and iron production. So there's different resources which are influenced by your government type. You can see here there's sort of a map on the top that gives you an estimate of the economy, the power, the country size, the population. So the bar shows the size of your country in comparison to the other nations. The average country size of all states at the start of the game is represented by the dashed line. So this is the dashed line. Interesting that our country size is... I don't know why these are all bolded. I wonder if these are recommended for new players. But some of these guys don't have... like, I don't this country size thing seems faulty because... there's no one really bigger than the Polymic, and they're not even to the average. I guess the dash line is just the mid-range. It's not really truly the average because it's the same for everything. Power, we're on the higher end. Economy on the higher end. Population on the higher end. So this dash line makes no sense. That doesn't really communicate anything of importance because, again, there's no one that is to the right of the dash line for the most part outside of maybe population of a few countries. Economy, a few countries are just barely over. But it certainly doesn't represent an average. Carthage is incredibly powerful. Look at the economy, power, country size, population. They're the only ones that are way over here. It says they're the largest country with one of the largest populations, the most powerful country with the most powerful economy. Government is aristocracy. Carthage looks to be the empire you'd want to play as, but not who we're going to be playing as. So we're going to be playing the medium difficulty. We're going to be playing with realistic game speed. I don't really know how that differs. I guess it's really just in technological development because every turn is 1 year. And you can see here, 3 units per tile is sort of the max. There's the map size, number of players, and here's the overall map here. So you've got Carthage down here, you've got Rome in the center, you've got a bunch of states over here to the right. You've got a lot of empty space as well in parts of Gaul and in parts of sort of Central Europe. And that's where we're going to be playing as Rome. So let's go ahead and jump in. The game also does have an audio soundtrack. I have that turned off just to avoid any sort of... I don't know if it would lead to copyright issues on YouTube, but I find a lot of games music does. And this game actually gives you quite a bit of control over the songs you want to play, skipping songs or whatnot. There's actually a menu interface at the top of the game, which is interesting. It's different than most games I've seen before, but also kind of led me to, maybe we should just have the music off for the sake of the stream. All right. Scenario begins. Following a series of local battles and smaller wars, the city-state of Rome is brought to the region of central Italy called Latium under its control. To the north, with river valleys, were settled the Celts. Okay, so I'm not going to read all of this text. You can pause the video or whatever and read through it at your leisure, but essentially it's saying that Rome started off as a small city-state in Italy. It gradually grew to gain control over the majority of the Italian peninsula, and by 282 BC, the empire, or the republic, was beginning its expansionist tendencies. It had long remained a republic with limited geographic ambitions, but by 282 that began to change. The game is starting in 287 BC, which is the start date of this game. It gives you another... That was the generalized introduction, I guess, for the whole map. Now it's giving Rome's introduction. We can see here there are objectives playing as Rome. So one of the objectives is to gain dominance over the Italian peninsula. We've already done that 85%, but we want to complete it as one of our objectives. Another objective is military power. So we're a quarter of the way there, but it doesn't really tell me. It just says modernize and improve both the attack and defensive forces to show our military dominance. So I guess that just means build up our military. It doesn't really give me a good sense of what that needs to be. We want to conquer Sicily. We want to build city walls around Rome. We want to foster friendship with the Greeks, and we want to modernize the army. Again, I don't really know what any of the modernize aspect of the army means, but we'll find out. So you can see here, we can zoom in and out of the map. We can only see areas, it looks like, where we either have allies or where we have our own kingdoms. So Italy is the peninsula here. Rome is obviously all visible here, and then we've got clouds in other areas. We know Carthago is down here, but we can't see anything because there's sort of fog of war. Likewise, the map, as we move around here, we know there are certain cities and certain locations that might be like capitals or whatnot of different countries, but we can't actually see what's going on the map there. So very clearly illustrates the fog of war. We can see where Massilia is, which lends me to believe that there are allies. I can actually go to the foreign relations screen and take a look at that. And if I click on Massilia here, you can see it doesn't tell me anything. Okay. Display treaties. So I guess we have trade routes with, I guess they're not allies, but we have a map exchange treaty with them, and we have trade routes. You can see the little check mark here. So that means that that's what we have with them. I'm guessing we don't have anything else with anybody else at the moment. So that is what it is. Meanwhile, if we zoom in down here, we can see different units on the map. So we've got some settlers over here, which can be used to basically move around and build new cities or build roads or things like that. There's a couple of different... Oops. There's another settler over here. Over here. So apparently we have a lot of settlers. There's also mines. You can see there's a gold mine over here. There is a iron mine over here. So there's sort of 4 different items on the map. There are units, there are cities, there are resources, and I believe there's like fields and stuff like that. Although I don't know if that you would count that as resources or not. But these fields generate food for your population. Resources generate resources for your economy. And then units, obviously like settlers or military units, fight your wars and battles and things like that. Epirus is down here. This is the Greek city-state that fought Rome around this time period, so I don't know if we're actually at war or if war's coming, but my assumption would be our first conflict would probably be with the folks of Epirus. They were actually the Greeks who brought elephants into Italy in sort of the pre-Punic War era. Let's see here. Okay. And yeah, so we might as well get started here. So I guess the question is where to get started. You can see along the top of the screen we've got a resource map that gives us all the different resources that we currently possess. 27 gold, 20 coal, 20 stones, 16 iron, 20 food, 22 wood, blah, blah, blah. We have 160 citizens, which it doesn't really tell me where they're on the map, I guess. It just sort of says you have those citizens. We have a pretty happy population, 130%, and those are your resources along the top. There's a state window here, which gives you generalized control over your entire country. You can see we have 38,000 soldiers. Our economy is 25,000, whatever that means. Gives us the geographic area of our country. Our population is 1.6 million. Our victory conditions, our objectives. So victory conditions are 18% met. If we go here, we can see our player victory conditions are a wide range of different objectives, conquering an empire, military superiority, country development. We've already seen the objectives screen here. 85% to our nearest objective, not of all objectives. Yes, the highest of all the objectives is the score it gives you. We've got a birth rate policy, which is the state is giving minimal support to increasing your birth rate. I suppose you could provide like subsidies and stuff like that. Current state, significant support. So essentially, like, do you want to give money or resources to people to have kids? So everybody will be locked to the same thing, but you could set it as like supporting one city over another. You could also do a generalized national policy of supporting some cities over others. So we're not going to really do any support for children and having kids and all of that jazz. Thank you very much for the bits, J Street. Let's see here. So birth rate, that's a policy that we want to sort of manage from here. Foreign relations are another thing. We've already seen the political window, but this is another icon, another item you can do from this screen. In addition to that, we've got a trade overview. So we can click here. There's currently no trade occurring, but this is where you'd manage it if it was there. I suppose we could change our government type to an aristocracy or a despotism. It would cost you things. So there's impacts to your resources. There's a difference to what you currently have, and there's also just a generalized cost. It looks like it would cost 20 gold and -2 people, I guess, -2 citizens. So we drop from 1.6 million, I guess, to 1,580,000 by the looks of it. There's a resource icon here, so you do need to do research, as with any sort of 4X type of a game. You do want to go ahead and research things like boats or astrology or weapons skills or other things like that. This one's already... This is weird. It doesn't really tell me... This is already developed, I guess? Boats? Huh. So it doesn't really... Okay, so this is developed. This monarchy or astrology is not. Or is it? Not enough resources. Developed. Developed. Kind of confused on this whole resource tree. Yeah, it doesn't really tell me much. But anyway, so we need to develop weapon skills. We can research this. We'll take the 3 turns to finish it. So we're going to go ahead and research weapon skills, which allows you to give military units the assault improvement -3 to develop leads to standing army. Okay. And that's where we're going to start with weapons development. We could change our capital, theoretically, although we don't have enough resources. You'd have to pay gold to do that. You can do a replay of the history, player statistics, resource usage. So if we go here, you can see... well, right now it's not going to give us anything, but I think turn to turn it'll give us a overview of our resources. It ebbs and flows. A strategic overview, again, this is just the map, so it gives you cities, coal mines, galleys, gold mines, essentially all of the different pieces of information you might want to learn about the game. And then state decisions appears to be you can hold elections, games, forced labor, things that we don't have. It doesn't look like we have the option to do any of these things yet. Doesn't really tell me why. Elections are available when happiness is low and when there's enough resources for the military to support it. Okay, so resources aren't low. Games can't be organized less than 5 years apart. So essentially, some of these things can occur, but right now we'd have to let some time pass before we can do these. Anyway, that's the generalized state screen. There's a build facility option here. We could build a blacksmith, a shipyard, a temple. They all have different impacts on the game. Blacksmiths will provide a resource multiplier for mines in their vicinity. And those are also, I believe, on the map. So if I built like a blacksmith, it would look similar to a mine, for example, here. Got a mine all the way up here in the north. Oh, we've got Ravania. But I think I want to focus the bulk of my effort to the south, dealing with the Greek city-state of Epirus. So I'm actually going to bring my troops south here to the border, because I think that's where I'm going to try and go first. So you can see I can issue orders to my troops that will take more than 1 turn to execute. I'm actually going to go ahead and build roads here, I think. Roads. So we're going to build roads to link this mine to our city. You do want to link your mines and stuff like that to your cities and towns to get the full resource boost from those locations. We're going to do that over here, although these guys are within a hex or 2 of the city itself, so that may not be as big of an issue. Are there roads here? Yes, there are. Okay. But I am going to go ahead and I want to build a route up here. So I'm going to build a roadway essentially all the way to the north to the mine up near Ravinia. And then we're going to keep our fleet stationary, I think. Meanwhile, our soldiers down here in the south are going to kind of... That's interesting. We've got like troops here. They're kind of isolated from the rest of our empire. And again, this is by Epirus. So we've got a legion here in the south. We've got a legion a little bit further north, and then we've got a 3rd legion over here. So we've got about 30,000 soldiers in legions. Again, about 38,000 total. I'm assuming there's like garrisons for towns and stuff like that. If we click on Rome, we could choose to build a settler in Rome. That looks like it's our only option in Rome. We could change the specialization away from settlers to military forces, and it will cost us gold, wood, and stone. And it will take a couple of turns to do that. I am going to do that, though, because I do need, I think, more military forces. So we're going to do that for Rome. We're going to change its specialty. Meanwhile, we're going to improve the town of Ascilium. We're going to go ahead and, I think, build a trading center, which will improve our overall economic output of the city. We're going to do for, it doesn't look like we have enough resources here to do that for this other town. I think we're just going to leave things as is. We're going to go ahead and, I guess, jump forward a turn. Hey, Jackie, I don't know how deep the game is or not. Oh, boy. Epirus just attacked us, so that's good to know. I guess we're at war with Epirus now. Fortunately, it looks like our legion defended itself successfully. Will you cancel peace with Antioch because of the demand from Sparta? No. Sparta wants us to cancel our peace with Antioch to go to war with them. I don't want to go to war with them. The Tantanius Legion in Barium is starving, and its morale is decreased by 40%. Hardship in military life is fought more intensely when they're cut off from supply. Shit. Which group is that? Which legion is that? Oh, these guys are starving because they're cut off because we're now at war with Epirus. So these guys are starving. I'm going to have them go and attack this mine. There's a mine of Epirus right here. Obviously, resources you can attack and try and seize them. You can see the Tantius Legion just attacked the stone quarry of Epirus. The enemy had about 5,000 population. We have 7,000 soldiers. We lost no soldiers. They lost 3,000 population. And we gained army morale and unit experience. We also gained some stones by taking the mine, which means now that we've linked these guys back up with the rest of Rome. So by taking that mine here, you can see the Roman map was pushed out this way, which links us up with the other troops here in the north. Meanwhile, this legion over here just fought a battle, which I wish there was a way to get... Wish there was a way to get an update. Like, okay, so I click on these guys. Change their name. Attack strength is out of 4. I can click on these guys, and I can see they have 8,600 soldiers, so it looks like they lost about 1,400 in that battle. They're the hero of a battle in Brutium, and they've got some traits here. They're currently foraging for their supplies, and then here you go. Now, they do lose those soldiers, so you do actually have to replace your losses between battles and things like that. Otherwise, your unit will gradually lose strength. So we'll go ahead and continue to move this legion up here in the north. Move it. Oh, I just clicked that button. So the legion in the north is going to continue moving south. The Roman specialization change is still occurring, so you can see this construction or activities occurring. We can't do anything with them right now. If we go to our SPQR section and take a look at our resource usage, we can see here we're gaining, it looks like, +8 gold surplus last turn. An 8 gold was produced by our gold mine. These little tooltips are kind of annoying. You also get 2/10 of a gold produced by our cities. Gives us an 8.2. There was no cost last turn, so that's a surplus. We've got coal production, stone production, iron production. It looks like the cities use iron, but our iron mine is sort of balancing out. Food is kind of where I would expect the biggest concern here. We used 13. We produced 18. So we had a 5 plus positive, if you will. Looks actually, no, sorry, we used 9 for the cities. So we produced a total surplus of 18, and I guess some food spoils. So that's good to know. Our influence didn't change. Doesn't look like that. I don't really know what influence is. Happiness dropped a bit. We were at 130 when the game started. I'm guessing that is something to do with the fact one of our soldier units was kind of cut off and was starving briefly, but they shouldn't be starving anymore. So we're going to go ahead and actually link these 2 units up. They took the mine. Oh, shit. What did I just do? This is just not intuitive. I click away. I left-click away, but apparently you've got to right-click to unselect a unit. So, good to know. Yes. All right, so we're going to leave these guys in place. Oh, my. This is really annoying that I've got to right-click to I don't want my settlers moving south. That's a bad idea. Do back to Neapolis. And these soldiers have already moved. We're at war, so I'm not going to build anything more right now. We're going to go ahead and wait and end the 277 turn. Indeed, time for the butcher to live up to his name. We must slaughter the enemy, or perhaps our own soldiers. Either or. By the way, you can actually skip out of watching all this and just kind of hit the X button. So we have a trade proposal from Permagon. They want to give us 3 coal, 1 iron, 1 food. It looks like, why does that look like wood to me? Apparently that's iron. 1 food, 1 wood, and 1 influence. You are offered a gift. Okay. So we're getting this. Doesn't look like we're giving anything. There's a 5% risk of robbery. I don't know what that means. All right. We've met the Iberian tribes. The Iberian tribes, smallest country, smallest population, weakest countries, not trustworthy, and other nations are cautious when dealing with them. All right. That's interesting. So we met the Iberian tribes. You can see here you get a summary on the top left of things that occurred. The stone quarry in Brutium is broken and needs emergency aid. This is the quarry we just took from the Epirus, so it's damaged right now. Building in Rome has finished. Settler to Perusia is ready, and the turn of the Roman Republic has started. So, for example, this quarry is currently damaged because our soldiers damaged it when they took it from the Greeks, and we're going to go ahead and click on it. All you got to do is left click, and it starts to fix the quarry, which is going to start generating resources for us. Meanwhile, we have we have 2 legions here? Yes, we have 2 legions here, I think. God, this whole interface is going to get really annoying. Yes, we do. So when I click on the legion up here in the north, when I click on this Marcerius legion, you see there's no icon to the top left of it. When I click on the legion in the south, you've actually got a little soldier icon here, which represents the fact that it's stacked with another legion. I can go ahead and move one of the legions, but it doesn't move both of them. So you can see it moved one of them into Epirus space. The other one's over here. We're going to go ahead and try and keep them up, although I guess they already moved up here because I had that standing order to move from the south. So these guys are kind of being left behind. This other legion is going to go ahead and attack Barium, and let's see what happens here. I don't see any enemy soldiers around. Oh, they were defeated, interestingly. So our 8,800 soldiers attacked Barium with 160,000 men. They had 2 defense bonus. No soldiers, I guess. Must be the citizens resisting. We lost 700 troops. They lost 5,000 civilians. We gained some experience, plus 3 out of 100. They lost, again, some citizens. And you can see we started with 3 attack, and it looks like we end with a 3.8 attack. Meanwhile, the defenders lost about 20% of their total defensive capabilities. Yes. So these troops in the north are going to continue moving to the south. So the Marius Legion is closing in. Meanwhile, the construction in Rome's complete, so we can actually go ahead and build. And now, in addition to settlers, we can also build princeps. A strong unit with good fighting spirit, fights well on the plains and grasslands, but worse on other terrains. So it'll cost us 10 gold, 10 population, which again, 10,000 citizens, and 7 iron. But we're going to go ahead and do that. You can see it digs deep into our iron reserves, but we need additional soldiers, I think, to fight this war. So that's currently the situation in Rome. I don't know if the Epirans have a fleet, but I'm going to go ahead and move my fleet. This tile is not supplied. All right. Well, we're still going to move our fleet. Looks like Carthago's fleet is blocking our way, so we'd have to go all the way around Sicily. This is a Carthaginian navy. I don't want to do that, so we'll just move the navy up here. Meanwhile, we have another fleet over here. We'll move these guys to the south. And apparently different hexes of fleets are supplied at different levels. So you can see when you hover over a hex, it tells you what it's supplied at. The settlers in the north here are building their road. The settlers over here actually completed their construction. And I think we're going to build field there. I didn't actually mean to build it there. I meant to build it over here. But we're going to build a field. Fields produce grains and food for your population. So that is what it is. Let's see. Can we can chop wood, I guess. So we could chop wood here. Apparently we can chop wood in the city. I don't know what I mean, I'm chopping down wood in the city, so I'm assuming it's going to change some of the resource production, give me a wood bonus. I don't know if it'll give the city a bonus and how it builds. I'm not quite sure. Some of this stuff seems a little bit abstract. But I think we've moved everything, so we can go ahead and end the turn. As far as how I like Rome so far, I don't know. Or Aggressors so far, I don't know. I mean, this is literally 30 minutes in, so thank you, J Street, for the bits. New technology. All right, so if you remember the technology research that we were doing when we first started, we were doing weapons training. So weapons training is one of the basic skills. Any military practice, wooden swords, shields, and spears are used for training, which gives us the ability to assault. So the attack strength is increased. And that's a new research that's done. So if we go down here and we go to research, we're not researching anything. We just completed the military research here. I don't know what this is. Primitive is developed. Okay. Oh, actually, so there's a table over here. The invention tree is really weird and small and kind of confusing, but you can see technologies with this sort of tan or brown view over the top are developed. Developing is gold, available is red, and unavailable is gray. So if something's red, we can research it. It's brown like this, it's already researched. It looks like we don't have enough resources to research astrology, so we actually need some additional resources here. And it doesn't look like I can research anything else right now as I scroll through here. Everything else is gray. Casting is, we're lacking resources. Defensive walls, we're also lacking resources. This is just not a very intuitive resource tree. That's a little bit weird. But it looks like we're generating knowledge. We get a surplus of 3 knowledge per turn. As that builds up, we can research more things. Okay. Meanwhile, our soldiers are closing in on Barium. You can see here the soldiers in the north are... An enemy unit is on this tile. What enemy unit? Alright. So we're going to try and attack Barium again. I think we're attacking it with 2 legions this time. We assaulted with the Epirus region, or legion, 8,000 soldiers. Barium defended. We won a victory, killed 83,000. Good God. 83,000 people were killed. We lost 3,000 soldiers, so the legion was damaged, but we did take the territory. Our soldiers fought like lions. They won the victory. We used the assault perk, which was part of the research that we just gained. And looks like we gained some resources, some gold, some stone, some iron, and some knowledge as well. So victory, Barium is now ours. Epirus has been defeated, and there you go. All right, everybody, that's going to do it here for this first look at Aggressors, Ancient Rome, a new game out by Slitherine and Matrix Games. It's an interesting 4X game that puts you in the ancient medieval world and tasks you to build an empire and expand your population and all of these traditional 4X type of activities. And it's an interesting game. It's a little bit challenging. I'm not sure I understand everything that's going on in the game. This, again, was very much a first impressions video, so it wasn't super polished or anything like that. But that's by design. It's by intent. What I will say is that I do think the interface is poor. I think the idea that you automatically, not poor on the whole, the interface communicates the information it needs to. What I don't like is the mouse clicking system. Essentially, when you select a unit, if you have to right click to unselect, which seems a little bit weird to me. Like, I can't just click off the unit somewhere unrelated to where it can move. I have to actually physically right click to unselect a unit, which is weird to me, like, because if I hit the exit button, other things happen. And I also really think the auto move to the next unit is a very poor design choice, because it leads me to selecting a unit I had no idea I was selecting, and then all of a sudden I'm moving it accidentally, and I don't think there's an undo button. So those two pieces really take a bit of the immersion and enjoyment away from it. Outside of that, I am enjoying this game. It's a lot of fun. I streamed this for about 3 hours last night, and I had a lot of fun. I do think the wars kind of drag a bit, and I don't know how to make peace with certain countries. Like, I don't get a sense your relations are going up with a country, but you try and offer peace to them and they won't accept. Like, the diplomacy, it's hard to understand what's going on behind the scenes. I think the game could do a better job of communicating things to you than it does. I think there is really a gem here of a game. I think it just needs to do a better job of communicating certain information to you than it does. But those are my initial impressions. It's an impressive looking game. It's a game that I think has the potential to be deep and very intriguing. But it's also a game that I think could do for a little bit more polishing. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and end this video here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. We'll have another video of this game tomorrow as we continue from the live stream from last night. Until then, though, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you for watching, and until next time, I'm out.